Hi, I'm Patrick.
And I'm Liv.
And this is the Mach-E vlog. Today we're standing in front of a Rivian R1T Launch Edition. We're gonna check it out and just look at all the cool features and fun stuff that this truck has.
So let's go. We've heard some people talk about the ultimate combo of two electric vehicles. The Lightning and the Mach-E could be one of them. The Mach-E and the Rivian could be one of them. So we're gonna check out what we think. Like, would this be a good companion vehicle to the Mach-E, or could you have this instead? I know I have some opinions about that. You probably do. I haven't even heard your thoughts about it. So we're gonna learn each other's thoughts. You're gonna learn our thoughts. We're gonna check out this car.
Yeah, we've actually had it for about 3 or 4 days. We took it on a weekend road trip to Aspen.
It's very hard to find a quiet place to film in the city at 5:30. We're shooting this after work, so there's rush hour traffic, ambulances.
And ambulances and fire trucks, so sorry for that. Anyways.
And hopefully whoever the ambulance is for is okay.
Yes. As I was saying, we've had the truck for 3 or 4 days. We took it on a excursion this past weekend up into the mountains in Colorado. So we have a vlog on that and just had a bunch of fun with it. But it gave us a little bit of a chance to experience the truck, drive it through some curvy mountain roads on highways, check out the driver's assistance features and all that. So we're gonna dive in now and go over all of that.
I have to start off talking about this front by just mentioning our neighbor last night. We were parking the Rivian and she ran over and said, "Oh my goodness, that is the most beautiful truck I've ever seen." I think it's really cute. Oh my gosh, did you see that? When it turns off, it moves down. It moves. We'll talk about that later. But I think this is really cute. The front reminds me of a hippo. Don't know about you. What do you think about it? So these sweet headlights are actually also the indicators as well. It's so cool. This whole thing will indicate, and this entire bar will show when the vehicle's charging. So when you're plugged in, this turns green. And I don't know, Patrick, does it change color if it's finished charging?
I don't know. We haven't fully charged it yet.
We haven't, but we're going to do that. Obviously, the Rivian has a pretty fantastic front, and something that's really cool about it is that it is remote operated or automatically operated, either inside the vehicle or in the key, which Patrick has. So he's going to open it right now.
Oh, I hit the wrong button.
Oh. Huh? Ooh, there. That happens. That's so cool. Oh my gosh. I love that feature so much. And you get so much space in here, clearly. A huge thank you to Out of Spec Studios for letting us use this Rivian. They're out of the country having amazing shenanigans, I think in Austria or something right now. So this frunk, I almost said trunk, that's so old school. This frunk is loaded up with straps and stuff that they've used for range testing with the vehicle. So now Patrick can close it, easy peasy with the push of a button. Got that Rivian logo on the inside. They're very logo heavy. People have mentioned that. I personally like it a lot. And I really, really, really like the continued aesthetic of this muted aluminum and then a yellow side to it. It's all carried on the inside. We'll show it to you. I like the aesthetic. You'll have to let us know what you think about it. This is obviously the white. I think it's actually called Glacier White, but Rivian does come in a bunch of different colors. The thing that I think is really interesting about it is they're all a bit muted. So you can get a red, a yellow, a blue, a green, but they're all kind of as though you took that color and then dusted it up on the trail a little bit, which is rugged and adventurous and kind of fits the vibe.
So of course, the door handles don't stay out. If you lock the car, the truck, it chirps first of all, and then the handles go in. Let's unlock it. One of the other famous features of the Rivian, of course, is the gear tunnel. I love this thing. You can actually fit a whole human in there, but there is the emergency release if you need to get out. This, I believe, is rated for 200 pounds, so you can sit on it with no problems. Put your laptop on it and use it as a little desk, whatever you want. And there's a little bit of storage in here as well. So lots of cool little features with the gear tunnel. There's power inside. There's a 12 volt on this side and 120 on the other side. Very cool. And of course, a lot of people have seen They have a option to have like a full kitchen that pulls out from here as well. So pretty neat. That was pretty loud. Sorry about that. And we'll move back here. Of course, it's a truck. Has a tonneau cover. There's a lot of dirt and sand on it right now, just wet. So I'm not going to open and close it too much, but it's powered. And the lift gate is an electric release. And I believe on this side is where the air compressor is. And then on the other side is where there's a 120 volt outlet. So pretty cool to have all of that functionality in the truck. And there's actually more storage under here. You can carry a full size spare or just use that space for storage.
When we spent some time with the F-150 Lightning, something that I thought was really cool was that there was a step and a handle to get into the back of the truck or easily access it. There is no such thing here, but I have seen people actually step on the gear tunnel. So I'm curious to see how that feels for me if I can open it. Woo. I don't know, that's very high. Like, how do you? Okay, all right. So that is less easy than the Lightning for sure. And now I'm stuck. So someone please send help. Okay, let's just hop down. Oh, oh, very elegant. Thank you, thank you.
Before we get in the front, let's take a look at the back seat. Now, Liv's seat is pretty far back right now. Ouch, just hit my knee already. So there isn't actually a ton of leg room back here on this side for a taller person. I'm 5'6", and it's fairly close, but it is pretty comfortable back here. There's, of course, definitely room for somebody to sit in the middle. One of the things I like here, let me just grab the camera and I'll show you guys. So you do have a screen where the passengers in the back can control their temperature and seat warmers. The screen's actually locked by the front console right now, but I really like the manual controls for the vents back here. We'll get to that in the front. Otherwise though, like you can see, of course it's a truck, there's fairly good headroom. The headrest I like as well. I always worry when there's like a glass right behind you in trucks, but the headrest take care of that. Really nice in the back. Some of the aesthetics, like I thought this is like a nice detail. Liv really likes the fact that there's a hook here, like you can hang stuff like a backpack or water bottle. There's also a USB-C port, but some of the wood trim that's in the front is also in the back. And I think that's really, really nice. And then one final thing, there is a pass through to the gear tunnel. So I can stick my hand in here and there's the pass through. I think there's a door that closes. Yeah, it's like a little roller door that closes. But if you have stuff stored in the gear tunnel, like a cooler with your drinks, for example, you could keep those back there and then just reach in. And it's fairly easy to access stuff. See, like there's a coat. And then under here, there's just a little tiny bit of storage. One of the cool things about the Rivian is that there's storage pretty much everywhere. Let's see if I can open it from this side. Look at that. There's storage under the seat so that you can store some things under here. I like this. Of course, you know, I'm sure thieves will know that that's a place to store things, but it's sort of nice knowing that, you know, there's some stuff that's out of the way and hidden from view. You can just throw it in here. And I think it's a little bit more insulated, so probably won't get as hot when your car is like 140 degrees inside. So just to show you, if somebody was 5'6" and driving in front of you and you're sitting back here, there's a lot more leg room. Like I said, hers is pretty far back. Mine is in my position. So there can be a lot of leg room back here depending on the size of the front seat passengers or their comfort in Liv's case. Should we hop in the front?
Yeah.
So welcome to the front of the Rivian. Pretty nice place to be. Has a horizontal screen, but it also has the driver cluster up here. I really like the layout. I like to look at the maps here, and it is fairly responsive. Like I said, we've had the truck for a few days. The only time I noticed any lag in the screen was when it would transition from light to dark. I think I can do that here real quick. Display, here we go. So if I switch to dark mode, but other than that, it doesn't seem like it's that laggy at all. I'm going to turn it back to the daytime mode. And we'll go back to some of the other functions besides navigation. Your music selections are basically Spotify, TuneIn, or Bluetooth connection. Does not have Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, which is one of my almost must-haves when we are looking at vehicles. So that's a big negative for me, but for a lot of people, they don't care. And because there's no Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, that reminds me. So like in navigation, let me swipe that out of the way. In navigation, I sort of I like the look of their navigation, but as we were driving around on Saturday and Sunday, here we go. The thing I didn't like about it is as we were coming down I-25 back into Denver, we were hitting traffic and coming to a standstill, but it wasn't displaying like the red until like 3 or 4 minutes after we were in the red. So it doesn't seem like it's updated as frequently with like traffic conditions as I would like. There was another time where it rerouted us around traffic, but it didn't give me any indication. It just looked like the GPS was confused. So it's, I'm used to Google Maps and using it via Android Auto and CarPlay. So it's disappointing that we can't do that here because of the lack of support.
As far as the UI goes, it feels very much like they took inspiration from a bunch of other things. Like obviously with the horizontal screen and the grayscale maps, like everything feels very Tesla, but there's also some things like the way that Patrick swiped the music away and you can swipe it back. That's very iPad. So I sort of feel like they pulled inspiration from a bunch of different things and it's this weird mishmash, some of which I like and some I don't like, and I'm still working out which. Let's swipe that away.
So another thing that Tesla does that they do in the Rivian, and a lot of people like it, is if you need to adjust your air vents and what direction they're going in, you sort of tap on it and redirect it. And I can hear the little motors adjusting where the vents are going. Very cool, very slick, but as you can see, my navigation stuff is back over here. So we had an issue, like when we first picked up the truck, I was trying to look at the map to see where we were going to go, and Liv was hot. So she kept on popping this up, and I was like, could you stop doing that for a second? Call me old school, but I like in the back seat, they have the manual adjustments for the vents. I wish we had manual adjustments for the vents here. This is slick. It's very cool, very modern, but nothing beats just being able to, grab a vent and then point it where you want. And then you don't lose like whatever the navigation is doing over here or whatever it is. As soon as you hit the vent button, it takes over the whole screen. So negative in my view, but pretty slick still.
Or if they have to do it like this, why can't it be like the music? Like if you swipe down or something, then you get your vent thing and it's just a little pop-up over everything. So the map is still visible and the vent is pop-upable or something. Or I don't know. There just seems like a better way that it could be instead of taking the whole screen. Why?
Yeah. Just as with Tesla, there's a lot of functionality in the center screen. I won't go through all of this stuff, but we'll go through a little bit of it. So if I click on the truck icon, I can do things like open the hood and close the hood, open the charge port, unlock or open the gear tunnel. Pretty, self-explanatory stuff. Here's their basically equivalent of Sentry mode. Of course, the Mach-E doesn't have a Sentry mode, but Tesla does. It's basically called Gear Guard Video. It's like a little Yeti guy there. Nice little touch. Other functions, of course, we can change lighting, and I was talking about like you can change the display color or light or dark. Another one that I really like is the charging screen, and I'll do a charging session tomorrow and we'll record some of that, but you can sort of very easily adjust your charging limits, basically daily, extended, or trip. You can open the charge port door, and then it's showing the range, and it, of course, like while I'm charging, you can see the charging speed and charging finish time. When you're charging at home, you can decide whether to limit your charging. So like if you are on a circuit that only supports 30 amps, you can lower it down to that. Go back up, I think it was at 48. So I really like the charging screen, and we'll get some more detail on that when we do a charging session.
I really, 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 really like the interior finishes in the Rivian. Like that yellow that I said was in the logo on the front of the vehicle is actually also in the side of the headrests here. This is a two-tone vegan interior. So we have this beautiful gray and then a darker black gray, whatever, on the side. Everything is really, really well made. Like the Mach-E, there is a full glass roof, and also like the Mach-E, it seems to be really, really well tinted. Like, maybe you've heard us mention before, but like we forget that the Mach-E has a glass roof sometimes. We used a roof cover at one point and like didn't even realize it half the time. Feels really similar with the Rivian. Like we were driving through the mountains, beautiful views, and I had to remind myself to go look. So very, very well tinted, beautiful, fully expansive glass roof. Looking up at the roof as well, the material up here is completely different to that vegan fake leather sort of thing. This is like an Alcantara or some kind of microfiber, and it feels really lovely and plush. The build quality really on the Rivian feels great. Accessing the mirror is very easy. There's a divot sort of there. And accessing this grabby thing, what is the grabby thing called?
We call it an old crap handle.
Oh, crap handle. Thank you. What do you call this thing? I think we'll stick with grabby thing right now. So some vehicles, this area is not as accessible, but in this vehicle, it's very accessible. I do, however, really, really wish that there was one right here. With the F-150 Lightning, there's a grabby thing right here that makes it really easy to get in and out. I've really been missing that with the Rivian, and I find that I grab the outside of the door, the exterior of the door and the A-pillar all the time to get myself in. So if you're really tall, maybe you wouldn't notice that, but if you're short like me, I think you'll be missing that grabby thing as well. As far as the rest of the materials go, I know Patrick noted this somewhere, but the wood is so beautiful. If you guys have seen, we spent a little time in the BMW i3 and there's a wood interior. I love it so much. I'm partial to this personally, so you guys will have to let us know what you think. But apparently this is real wood. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like plastic, and I believe that it's a thin layer of wood that's like laid over plastic, should wear really well and keep in good condition. There's the Rivian logo looking as though it's like burned in. So gorgeous. Brushed aluminum, Launch Edition metal all over, and the metal sounds plasticky, but it feels really good. Everything feels really good in here. If you can, just spend a little time in one just to play with the feeling. Okay, let's look at more. We recently got to spend some time with the Mercedes EQS. We also spent some time in it at the EV Summit last year. And something about the EQS is that it has this split inner middle storage thing, similar to this. But this one, it opens really, really quickly, which is not the same as the EQS. So I kind of wish this was a slow open thing, because I'm always scared that I'm going to smack Patrick. Like, he's driving and I need to get something. So I'm like, okay, don't open that side too much. I wish maybe you could press one button and it would only open that side instead of that side. And then there was another button. I don't know. Just, that's something to note.
As I was saying earlier, this is a nice place to be in the driver's seat, but there are some things that you should know. So like the gear shift, just like in Tesla, is over here. You basically put your foot on the brake and then you go down for drive, up for reverse, tap for park. To activate the driver's assistance, it's a double tap down. So very much like Tesla, which that means your headlights as well as windshield wipers are over on the left side, which is not too bad. I sort of got used to that over the weekend for the most part. So not too bad for all your controls here. One thing I don't like, so on the left and the right, these are your controls for your music as well as some of the stuff that goes with your driver's assistance, like your speed, increasing and decreasing your speed, while in driver's assistance modes. Oops, I turned the car on because I hit the brake. and it says put on your seatbelt. And then, of course, the roller wheel controls the distance, but there's no labels for that at all. And then on the left side, that's where you control the music and the volume, and then forward and back and things like that. It's okay. You know, I sort of actually prefer, because in the Mach-E it's reversed, so that's just a personal preference, but it doesn't really matter. You get used to it based on the vehicle you drive all the time. I do wish there were labels, because there's nothing there, and it makes it look nice, but if you are new to the vehicle, it could be a bit confusing. But I think we should go for a drive. So I'm going to go over here first, because this is one of the coolest features that I think the Rivian has. It has adjustable air suspension. So right now we're in all-purpose mode, and the height is standard, which is 11.5 inches. But you can adjust not only the drive modes like you can in the Mach-E, but you can adjust the ride height. So we're in all-purpose mode, and if I go into high, the vehicle will actually raise up to 13.1 inches, and then I can get low. I don't know if it'll let me. Yep, it will. Lower ride height. And that's just to make sure there's, it came up with a pop-up message to make sure, like, is it okay to actually go down that low in case you're near a curb or something like that. But now we're dropping down to 10 inches. And I believe it goes anywhere from 9.5 at the lowest to, I think, let's see, what is off-road? Go off-road. The highest is 15. Which we don't want to do. I'm just confusing the heck out of the vehicle right now. We're going to go into all-purpose. We'll go into standard. We'll keep the ride soft. Brake regen is standard. One thing to note about brake regen, there is no off. There's standard and there's high. So that's all that is available. If you want two-pedal driving, the Rivian is not for you. I like regen, so we're going to just keep it in standard and roll on out. So let me go ahead and click it in drive. It's still lowering. As long as you're under a certain speed, it can still adjust the ride height as you're moving. But if you get over a certain speed, it will prevent the height from changing. So we're going to go ahead and roll out. Okay, we're just going to cruise around a little bit, and I'll tell you how the truck feels just in ride quality and whatnot. This is one of our favorite places. There's a beer garden, an ice cream place, and of course this is the Wings Over the Rockies Museum with the B-52 out front. But ride quality is excellent. Of course, the suspension is designed for, being a truck and can even go off-road. Going on the freeway on Saturday, it felt great. We came back over Independence Pass, which is a very curvy, high-altitude road. It goes up to like 12,000 feet, and some parts are even down to one lane. So that was a bit interesting. I lowered it, put it in sport mode, and had a little bit of fun driving that. Not as much as I wanted, because there's always traffic, especially on days like the weekend. But overall, I think ride quality was pretty darn good for the truck. And of course, it's super powerful. We won't need to do a launch. Everybody knows this thing is very, very fast. It's basically as fast as a Mach-E GT Performance Edition off the line. And that's 0 to 60. If you're talking about doing a quarter mile, this thing is even faster. I think it'll finish the quarter mile in under 12 seconds and at about 110 miles an hour. It might even be higher than that. Has over 800 horsepower, 900 pound-feet of torque. So that's pretty amazing. It is a big vehicle. It is a lot bigger than the Mach-E. I believe it's like 30 inches longer than the Mach-E. So I had a lot of issues parking with it. One of the cool things that I did note on Saturday is I can turn on the cameras even when I'm not parking. So I'm going to just click over here. Ooh, it's really blurry right now because of the rain. But we did notice the cameras aren't as clear as they are in the Mach-E. I think it's a little bit of a lower resolution camera. Right now, it's not a fair judge of it because of the rain, but you can still sort of tell it's not quite as clear resolution-wise. But very helpful when parking a truck this big. It is not as big as the Lightning. I think the Lightning is still another 15 or 20 inches bigger than this. I'll have to put all the stats. I'll try to put a link to those down below if you want to do the comparison. But otherwise, besides the size, it does drive a lot like a sports car at times because you can lower the suspension and it has so much power. So a couple of times we were able to pass people when the road allowed it. And it's so cool because you are right up to speed so quickly to get around anybody that you need to get around. So that was really cool. Of course, it has a lot of driver's assistance features, just like the Mach-E. It does lane centering and intelligent cruise control type thing, just like the Mach-E does. But it only works on pre-mapped roads. So like with the Mach-E, may or may not, I think I could probably turn it on this road because it has to detect lines on both sides, and because of the curb, it might detect that. But if I try to turn it on here, it says unavailable on this road. The other difference with the lane centering system with the Rivian compared to the Mach-E is that when you turn on your blinker, it completely disengages the system. When you get into a new lane, you have to re-engage the system. So it's like double click again to get it started. With the Mach-E, when you do your lane change, as soon as it sees the new lane, it re-engages automatically. And I found that to be quite the annoyance with sort of like medium traffic, because I was passing people like every 2 or 3 minutes, and every single time it was like I had to re-engage. Not a huge amount of effort, but the fact that I had to take my hand off the steering wheel and double click over here, which brings me to the point of where I like the controls of the intelligent cruise control and Blue Cruise in the Mach-E that are basically all accessible with my thumb, and makes it a lot easier versus a double tap on the gear selector. So I do like some other features of this, just going through things randomly. Click on this and it'll switch to a satellite view. That's pretty nice. The Mach-E doesn't have a satellite view unless you're using something like Google Maps via CarPlay or Android Auto, but I still prefer the map view. There is a little bit of a map over here on the left of my screen, as well as the information that the driver's assistance is showing. That shows my lane, and as cars come up, you'll see those. We might have this car over here to our left. Let's see if that shows up. Cars in front of us turning. No, he's not showing up. But it's sort of Tesla-like as well, where it shows what's going on. It looks slick, but to me, that's one of those where it's almost like a distraction as the driver, because as I was going through traffic on the weekend, I was noticing things popping up and disappearing, and you see something flash on your screen, you tend to want to look down and see it. So, but it looks really cool, and it even shows stuff we notice, like if I hit the brakes are on the screen, Rivian, as well as like when I was in a parking lot and I was turning the wheels, I could see the little wheels in the front turn as well. So, pretty cool graphics here. It does have a light and dark mode. We're going to switch to dark mode. Now in the Mach-E, I love the dark mode, and I keep it in dark mode basically all the time. In the Rivian, I've kept it in the light mode most of the time. The dark mode is really hard to see stuff. We played around with the contrast and the brightness, and it doesn't help a ton for the visibility. I don't like the dark mode here as much. And then when we go back to the map, all of a sudden now I have trouble seeing like the lines of the roads and whatnot. So let's go back over and turn that back to daytime mode.
As a passenger, I noticed the height of the vehicle a lot. So Patrick this weekend was zipping through these curvy mountain roads, and no, he would never do that. But I feel very high, and as the passenger, I feel a little thrown around more. Now there is side bolstering on the seats, but it feels a little further away from my body, so it's less supportive. So I just kind of felt like I was getting tossed around a bit more. Now, the suspension and the bounciness and the height and the ruggedness of this vehicle seems really great. But I'm not sure what the use case is, and I don't think that it was for road tripping. For me personally, like I missed the Mach-E. I missed the lower center of gravity. I missed the sort of tighter bolstering of the seats. I missed not getting thrown around as much. Like this is very rugged and it's a bit bouncy and it's like ready for action. But for driving in the mountains for 3.5 hours, I kind of wanted to just be like sinking back into the Mach-E. I don't know. You know what I mean?
I sort of do. Wait till we get the GT Performance Edition, if we get it.
If we get it, that would be the ultimate amazing combination of the power and suspension that you get in the Rivian combined with our Mach-E. That really, man, the experience of being in the Rivian up in the mountains really made me excited for the GT.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good to hear. Well, I was missing the Mach-E on the road trip, mostly because this is good for it's good at so many different things. It's a good fast vehicle. It can be sports car like when you are really pushing it. Great for off-roading, but for a smaller vehicle that I like and ride quality and everything that the Mach-E has, it just more suits us than anything.
Yes.
Not a knock on this at all.
No.
If we didn't mention, this is a launch edition. It's a quad motor, and it's about $76,000, which isn't really that bad, except the only problem is they've raised their prices about $12,000. So, and this is, there's more options and whatnot. Different colors cost different amounts. So it's all starts adding up. And I think the Mach-E is still a great vehicle for us. But I could see a lot of people choosing this as like, we have one, smaller crossover car being the Mach-E, and then also a Rivian. And it sort of gives you a lot of versatility in which you would want in your garage.
So then that makes me think that this is not an instead of the Mach-E, it's an as well as, or if this vehicle is more suited to you, then it's instead of the Mach-E. Like for us, the Mach-E is much better suited to our lifestyle, city driving or longer road trips. The Mach-E is smaller, it's easier to park, and we don't go camping or off-roading or anything like that. Like this is just so useful, so amazingly useful for things that we don't use it for or wouldn't.
Yeah.
Even going up into the mountains into Aspen, we were staying at our friends, and like there was a little bit of off-road to the cabin, so
It's
where
like
she lived.
500 feet of dirt roads.
But would you have been worried in the Mach-E?
No, not at all.
Okay, fine. Then I guess we didn't need the Rivian.
Okay, we're gonna do a charging session with the Rivian. We normally go to Electrify America, but I thought today, let's try out EVgo. And this is actually a pretty cool station. Is that one down? Let's see.
Spoke too soon.
It looks like it might be up. Oh, the screen has some weird things. So it looks like it's up, but we just want to record this. So I'll go over to the next one. Yeah, it has like weird circles on that screen, but anyways, and we are ready. I have the EVgo app installed, so we're gonna go out and charge. With EVgo, we don't have plug and charge, of course, or anything, but it says plug-in connector, authorized payment, charge up and go. So we're gonna plug in. So the way EVgo works is I'm at Nahimana, which is whatever that is. at this Buckley station. So I want to click on it, start charging. It is 30 cents per minute, which is, I don't like when it's charging per minute, but that's what EVgo does. They're experimenting in California, charging per kilowatt hour. It's just so much easier to keep track of things when it's per kilowatt hour. But per minute, we'll look at it at the end and determine, if that would have been cheaper or more expensive than doing like 31 cents per kilowatt hour, like with Electrify America. So it says it's connecting. There we go. Plugged in at 19%. We don't have anywhere to go. We're turning over the Rivian today to somebody else. So we'll probably just want to be nice and give it to them at like 70 or 85%. It's showing the power is slowly going up. Not really slowly, that's pretty quick. This is a 350 kilowatt hour or a 350 kilowatt charger. I think all of these here are 350 kilowatt except for one. One is 100 kilowatts. This is a great EVgo station. Every single one is CCS and Chatamo. And I read online that they have a Tesla adapter here as well. So I'm going to look for that after we get charging. But here's another cool thing on the front of the Rivian. You can see that the front light bar pulses green while it's actively charging. And we're at 204 kilowatts now, which is about the peak that I've seen on the Rivian. So we're gonna hop back in the truck and check out, see if I can find that Tesla charger and see what it shows inside as well. So yeah, this EVgo station has a DC Tesla charger. It's only 50 kilowatts. This is the 100 kilowatt station that I was talking about, but they have a 50 kilowatt Tesla charger as well. Not that fast, but if you need to charge, at least you have an option here with EVgo if you have a Tesla. And there goes one right there. With the Rivian, the charging screen in the car actually gives you a lot of really good info. It's showing that it's pumping in at 209 kilowatts, that I've already added 4 kilowatt hours. And I've set the limit to 70%, which is what they recommend for daily. And it says best for battery health. And that's telling me that it's 226 right now. And they get to 70%, that'll end at 2:51 p.m. And if I tap it, it tells me that's 25 minutes. Over here, it also, like if I tap that, it shows that I've added 12 miles of range already, which equates to doing about 466 miles of range added per hour, which is another cool way of looking at how fast your charging is at. But instead, we'll just keep it looking. There's 210 kilowatts. That's I think that's the highest that we've seen since we've had the Rivian. So anyways, we're just gonna let it keep charging. We're not gonna record the whole session. If you're looking for a lot of detailed information about the Rivian's charge curve, I recommend checking with Kyle on Out of Spec Reviews. He's done a 0 to 100% charging test in the Rivian, as well as a range test. So he's done more of the in-depth tests on the Rivian, including towing as well as the range with a full load on it. So look at his channel for a lot more in-depth testing. We're just going to just show that, it charges up like a normal person would use it and gives you some pretty decent info in the car. And of course, what we like is this speed, 211. Ooh, that's some really great speed with this. It's charging fairly quick. We've already added 20 miles and now we're up to 75 miles of range. So let's keep watching.
It's really interesting watching the charging because it kind of plummeted a few minutes ago. Plummeting again, it's plummeting again. We're at 160 something, but it just went up to like 213. Wow, we're going down to 650. Whoa. Whoa, and there's that wave again. We're back up to 214. You saw it drop down to like the 40s and then all the way back up to 80. And then it was only there for maybe less than a minute. And ooh, 215. This is kind of crazy. It's doing big waves. I'm not sure if it's the charger or something the car is doing to manage stuff. What do you think, Patrick?
I saw at one point it said it was being limited by the charging station. Now it's not being limited by anything. So I wonder if there's some sensors in the charging cable or the unit that's sort of regulating the power. Yeah, limited by charging station.
Oh yeah, they're saying that again. It's plummeting again. I bet we're going to get back to 50 and then it's going to go back up to 80.
This is really interesting.
It is. Did you see it? Like literally ping pong straight from 50. Now it's going to hang in 80 for like 15 seconds maybe, and then it's going to go up again, maybe 30 seconds. Let's keep watching. Still says limited by charging station. So it'll be interesting if that'll suddenly go away. Do you know how long this charging station's been here?
We got the invitation from EVgo and Drive Electric Colorado.
Oh, it went away and it's shooting up.
Yeah. That it opened sometime last end of summer, I think September maybe.
Okay. Yeah, the charging station is moderating the power, dropping it down. And now, 215. Man, this car is demanding a lot of charge.
And what is the temperature? It's 93 outside. Actually, Google says it's 85. So I wonder if it's some heat issue with the station. There's 216.
Yeah, that's strong. And then I guess we'll get another 30 seconds and then a drop again.
Yeah. Our charging sessions over the weekend, there it goes, were fairly consistent. It hit 207 or so, and then would slowly go down to like 190 something, then 170. And then as it got closer to the end, it would drop down a little bit more, but it was not bouncing around like this.
This feels a little shady, like a little sandbaggy because it's per minute.
Yeah,
it's like, no, you can't do 215. You'll be done too quickly.
That's right.
That's so sneaky.
Yeah. That's why I don't like per minute. It's like, and it's so hard to calculate. Yeah, it's easy to figure out how many minutes you were here and how much you charged, but it's really hard to figure out how many miles per cent you're going to get versus knowing, like we've added 33 kilowatt hours times 31 cents.
Yeah. Well, look, it says ends in 22 minutes and now it's going to shoot up. So the time's going to go much shorter, right? So it said ends in 22 minutes when we were at 84, which was what it sort of stabilizes at when the charging station limits it. 17 minutes, 16 minutes, 15, 14. Wow. So we would have more than 10 minutes less charge.
Yeah.
Or 10 minutes less charge, yeah.
So that's like a $3 difference.
Really? Is that it?
Well, 10 times 30.
Oh, yeah, good point. 3. Still feels shady.
Well, it is, it adds up.
Yeah, it does, yeah. Yeah, we could save $3, but the charging station is limiting us. There it goes again.
Okay.
How interesting.
Okay, so we know it's going to ping pong. We'll check back in. I'm going to turn the AC up because I'm sitting in the back and I can't feel it back here.
All right.
I changed it to extended just so that I could go above 70%. We decided to run in and go to the bathroom just like a normal charging stop. It's still doing pretty well at 78%. We're at 82 kilowatts. It also gives me an indication that it's slower now because it's close to a full charge. And I'm going to go ahead and hit stop charging. We're going to go unplug. So total time was 38 minutes. Hopefully I can see more info, but that might be, okay, let's see. Nope. I'll have to check the EVgo app to get my final costs and everything and how many kilowatt hours we got, but we're all done.
And you can hear how much the car is cooling itself down.
Yeah.
Well, that was an interesting charging session. We haven't really done timed charging much, and we don't do EVgo that much.
Yeah, that was the first time in a long time. I mean, we did one just playing around in another video, but for a decently long session. We got an email that gave me all the stats. It was 85.6 kilowatt hours delivered. Total cost was $12.31. I think we were there for 38 minutes, it said. Doing the calculation, that turns out to be just over 14 cents per kilowatt hour, which is phenomenal. Like the discounted EA rate is 31 cents. I believe most superchargers around here are 29 cents per kilowatt hour. Our electricity at home, because we have time of use, I believe at this time of day is about 27 cents or so.
Is it that high?
Yeah, it's really high during the day, but it's 8 cents at night.
So still, 14 is amazing. I'm really surprised because when it started sandbagging and dropping down the charge, I thought it was, I just thought it was going to be really expensive, you know?
Yeah, no, I knew we were coming out pretty well as long as we were sort of averaging over 100 kilowatts going in. And I think we were averaging that. And then I noticed, we didn't really film this because we were in and out of the car, but once we got deeper into the state of charge and it wasn't going all the way up to 215 kilowatts going in, it was going up to like 170. Then it was staying at 170. It wasn't ping-ponging back and forth. So I think it was hitting 215 and freaking the station out and then dropping it. So.
And was that when it said that it was reducing since it was close to full charge?
No, that was only later on after we got above, I believe, 70%. Then it started tapering down to about 80 kilowatts and then in the 70s. So overall, you know, fairly simple, fairly easy, just like a regular CCS car like the Mach-E. Doesn't have plug-in charge. Rivian does have their own charging network that they are working on, which I really, really, really hate that they're doing some proprietary stuff, even though it's a standard connector. But they opened the first one in Salida, Colorado, and they're going to open others as part of their adventure network. Some will be open, like they're going to put some in the Colorado state parks, like 2 per Colorado state park. Those will be open to everybody, but their faster chargers apparently are going to be proprietary for now, they say, which sort of seems to be the reverse of what I would do. It'd be like open it up now, and then as it gets crowded, then maybe live in it to Rivian. But they haven't shipped that many Rivians, so you would think they would be like, let's at least make some money off of this while we can. So anyways.
Yeah, that is hard to understand. And I agree. I don't like things being proprietary or limited, open source, good community, sharing the resources kind of thing. But that was a great charging session. Really, every charging session we've had in the Rivian has had amazing speeds. I'm envious of that from the Mach-E.
And that was a good charging station for being in an urban area. It had CHAdeMO at every stall, which is being phased out. So that was sort of like, that's a lot of CHAdeMOs to be putting in right now. But they also had CCS at every one, and then the Tesla one. So lots of stalls, lots of options. So
and a gas station across the street, so everyone's covered.
So anyways, that's our charging session. No, this is a fantastic vehicle. I'm really impressed with how everything's put together. The software is excellent. No lag. It's getting updates. We just got a notification that there's an update available for it. The motors make it super powerful. It is a big battery. I think it's a 135 kilowatt hour battery, but it's still relatively efficient. It gets about 314 miles of range EPA for this version with the large battery, and they're going to come out with a max battery that will give you close to 400 miles of range. I don't think they've got the official number, but they're shooting for 400 miles of range. But of course, it's expensive, so I think it adds another $6,000 or $10,000.
Which is funny because that's like close to what you can get some of the paint colors for. So I would so take that over a paint color.
I think the paint colors, some of them are like $2,500, and it sort of seems ridiculously high for a pink color, but they also look ridiculously good.
They do.
So I can see that this is, we keep saying, like when we're talking about this truck, this is a great Colorado truck. We have so many friends. I think this is the perfect truck for them because they live in Denver or nearby. They don't want a huge truck. This isn't huge. It's still pretty big, but they go to the mountains all the time, and the range will get them there, and there's charging in the mountains in Colorado. So I think I could see a lot of people here in Colorado buying this, and we've seen some of them around. We saw one on what was it, Sunday, driving up to Aspen.
Oh, yeah. And by the way, the charging speed is phenomenal. It is really, really good. I'm so glad we had the opportunity to road trip it and test out charging it in multiple locations. Keep an eye out for that video because we also found what I think is like the best charging spot ever. Because it had squidgies, it had window cleaning, and it had shade. Anyways, we got to try the Rivian out in multiple locations. The speeds, top notch. I think we actually used the exact same charger that the Ioniq 5 with Zach and Jordan used in the race to Vegas. So I think it was that exact charger, right?
That was exactly what they used. There were a couple of chargers we hit over 200 kilowatts peak. And it stayed above 200 kilowatts and then, you know, would slowly drift down lower and lower as it does.
As in like to 177.
Yeah, it didn't drop dramatically. No. It was doing like 177 for a while. It was still taking a while because it is a bit of a bigger battery. But overall, I was really impressed with the charging speed. And it just feels good when you see those numbers, especially coming from the Mach-E where you get 125 and you're excited.
Yeah.
But to see 207, 208, it was like, whoa. I think 207 was the highest actually, but still it was really cool to see that. And the other thing that is similar with the Rivian compared to the Mach-E is how much attention the truck gets, how much attention the Mach-E gets. We drove the Lightning for a few hours. No one even looked at it until we opened the Mega Power Front.
And when we were taking photos, people were like, why are they, what? Then people noticed. I will say, I love the aesthetics of the Rivian. I really do. I think they did a fantastic job. I'm very partial to this sort of like muted, elegant, rugged kind of vibe. It's so appealing. The materials are great. The aesthetics on the outside are so good. I love the way the front looks. I love the animations. The light when you unlock the car, you can see a light projected from the mirror, and it's a big Rivian logo like the Mach-E, but it's huge, very bright. There's so much about it that I think is aesthetically top notch, but I can't believe it, but I think I prefer the Lightning because it feels like people who made trucks 400 years made it. Like there's a grabby on the A-pillar. There's a grabby thingy. Someone tell me what that's called. So there's a grabby thingy. There are other features about the Lightning that just feel a little more tailored. But I feel like the next gen of the Rivian, like if they sort of tailor things a little more and like tighten it up a bit, then it could be an ultimate competitor and put a grabby thingy in. Perfect. But like I feel like the Lightning wins a little, but not aesthetically.
So that's a good, we'll try to wrap things up because I know we're babbling, but so that I've had a lot of people ask me Rivian versus Lightning, and I think there's sort of like different use cases. If you want to go off-roading, Rivian. If you want a smaller truck, Rivian. If you want a like almost sports car like performance, Rivian. But the F-150 Lightning is still pretty quick. It's low 4 seconds, 0 to 60. If you need a bigger full-size bed, the F-150. If you want to power things from your truck, definitely the F-150 Lightning. And if you want truck things, like little things like a step to get into the cargo bed, if you want like measuring things, little details that they've put in. It has like a desk, so like the center thing folds down and you basically have a desk in your cabin if you need to work from your truck, like while you're out on a work site or something like that. F-150 Lightning, all the things that I really like about the Lightning are all those little utility functions that I think are just excellent. The gear tunnel on this is really cool. So it has some things that are really unique and functional. It would be really hard to have to choose between the two, but I do prefer the Lightning. It feels more like a functional truck.
And we could get a Lightning for like $20,000, $30,000 cheaper.
Yeah.
So that would help me choose. And now, granted, we'd missed out on a whole bunch of cool features, whole bunch. But
and that sort of is, we drove a F-150 Lightning Platinum, but I grew up around Ford and Chevy trucks, a few Dodge, and for me, a truck was so much about the functional utility of it. It was bench seating, crank windows and stuff like that. So I think, like, for us, if we decided to get a truck, and we won't because we don't have the room or the need, but I would go with one of the lower trim Lightnings. It still has the powertrain of the higher grade Lightnings, but it doesn't have all of the like leather seats and all the stuff that I really don't necessarily care about in a truck. And I think that's why the Lightning is going to be extremely successful. This is going to be extremely successful because the off-roading and the quickness and the very slick touchscreen
and the aesthetic. The aesthetic is just so appealing. It fits a vibe. It's like it reminds me of Jeep people. Like, there's a vibe. It's like there's a Rivian vibe, and it's really appealing.
We are getting caught in the rain. We've been talking for a bit. We love this truck. Thanks again. We're going to say it 100 times to Kyle and Alyssa with Out of Spec. They loaned us this truck. This isn't a media one. This isn't from a dealer or anything like that. They don't have dealers, but you get the point. This is their personal truck that they bought, and they just weren't using this week because they're traveling. So thanks so much. And of course, thank you to our patrons.
Yeah, our unbridled patrons: Frankie M, Andy Ross, Marlene Strickland, Michael Bazaruski, Larry Kuhn, Eric Linneman, Joshua Eng, Lester Marlad, Bill Greentree, and Murchie Bautista. I know you say Merch, but I know you as Murchie, man, so tell us what to call you. Thank you so much for your support, and thank you to our engaged patrons. Wow, that truck has get up and go. Todd Mason, Midlife Marine, and Lewis McFarland. And thank you, Whisper patrons, too. We also appreciate you. I don't know why I'm coming close to the camera because the mic is over here. It's time to go. If you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. But if you really liked it, stick around and subscribe. Check out our Patreon down below. Let us know what you think of the Rivian, and if there's another vehicle that we should check out, and what else.
What's for dinner?
What's for dinner? Artichokes. And just remember, it really is, I can't wait. Just remember that whatever you drive, even if it isn't a sweet Rivian and you don't have artichokes waiting at home, enjoy the ride. Bye.